Homebuyers, here are 8 typical pitfalls to avoid when buying your first home. Number 1 is not understanding the buying process. And you might be saying, well, I'm not going to be buying a home every year, so why do I need to understand it? This is going to help you and your realtor to really be on the same page. So you want to make sure that your realtor is going to actually sit down with you and tell you what to expect along the way. My clients get a buyer's consultation. Not only that, once we're under contract, they get a list of what to expect next. And on top of that, if that wasn't enough, I make sure that my clients are getting a timeline to know when things are due. Second pitfall to avoid is waiving your home inspection. Now, during the height of the market, people were waiving home inspections left and right. I personally would never recommend that for any of my buyers, particularly my first-time home buyers. If you're an investor and you're willing to take the risk on, that's great. But this is the big investment. This is the largest thing you'll probably purchase ever. And you want to make sure that it's going to be livable. You want to make sure that it's going to be a safe property. So I don't recommend this. We can discuss other strategies to making sure that our offer is competitive, but let's not just go ahead and waive the home inspection. The third one to avoid is failing to get pre-approved. And you might say, well, why do I need to get pre-approved if I want to buy a home? Well, this is really important because if you want to look at a $600,000 home and I take you to look at a $600,000 home and I'm like, okay, let's write an offer on it. And let's say you didn't have a pre-approval. Come to find out you can only afford a $300,000 home. I've actually failed at my job and I've taken you to a home that you can't afford, and then you're disappointed with me and I'm sad because you can't get the dream home you want. So it's just good to avoid that scenario. Let's make sure that before you start looking that you are getting pre-approved, and I can connect you with a ton of lenders that can help you with that. Number 4 is spending more on a house than you can actually afford. Now, this should go without saying, but we live in America and everyone is trying to keep up with the Joneses. There's nothing wrong with wanting a nice home. There's nothing wrong with wanting a large home. But what you really want to do when you are home searching is to assess your finances the best to your ability and make sure that you're comfortable with your monthly payment. You do not want to be house poor. Like, you don't want to sacrifice going out to eat or being able to travel with your loved ones just to be able to pay a mortgage. So make sure that you're actually going to be able to afford those monthly payments comfortably. Number 5 is forgetting the additional expenses that come with home ownership. Home ownership is more than just your mortgage. Now, included in your mortgage can be your interest, your taxes, and your insurance. If you're purchasing a condo, then you also have the condo fee associated with it. In addition to that, you can also have a HOA fee in the state of Maryland and Virginia. Number 6 is using the seller's agent. This is really important to keep in mind because the seller's agent is working for the seller. They have the seller's best interest in mind. And you want to make sure that you're going to have someone that has your best interest in mind. It's really hard to actually have 2 opposing parties' best interests in mind at one time, which is why we really recommend that you work with a realtor that's going to represent you on the buyer's side. Number 7, letting your emotions influence your decision. This is an emotional purchase. We buy a lot of things based on emotion. This is also why I think it's really important to hire a realtor, because we will take our emotions out of the transaction for you. Yes, we are still emotional people, emotional beings, but our job is to come into it and remove our emotions as much as we can to make sure that you're actually going to be making a good decision, not just one based on your emotions. You want to make sure that you're protected in all fronts. And 8, I would say 8 is not having a realtor represent you at all. So you want to make sure that someone's going to be making sure that you are taken care of, like I mentioned in point number 6. My job as your agent is to make sure that I am negotiating the contract for you, that we are meeting our deadlines, that I'm taking some of the stress of this purchase off of your shoulders. Buying a home is a huge investment, and it's also a very stressful one for some people. But that's why you want to make sure that your realtor is going to be having your best interest in mind and will be working for you. If you are ready to purchase your first home, your second home, I'd be glad to chat with you about what it looks like to work with me as your realtor. Feel free to reach out to me and I'm here for you. Thank you. Have a good one.